Let's try this again. It says I'm live. I'm trying to get it up on my other screen here. Ah. Alright. Here we go. Minimize that. Back to FreeCAD. And OK. Let's try to do something here. Okay. We're still getting set up here. I want to be able to see the... Why can't I see the live chat? I should be able to see the live chat. There we go. There we go. Alright, so this live stream, we are going to go over the basics of Lure design and give a step-by-step tutorial to create a simple minnow plug style jerkbait, crankbait, whatever you want to call it. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So I guess if you're brand new to FreeCAD, I'm going to start by assuming that you don't know the first thing about it. FreeCAD is an open source parametric CAD software that's free for anybody to download and differing than Fusion 360 or any of the other free versions of paid CAD softwares from the big players in the industry like Autodesk or SolidWorks. You own the designs that you produce using FreeCAD. Let me say that again. In Fusion 360 hobby versions, SolidWorks hobby versions, you do not own the rights to the designs you produce in the software. So if you were to go and try to sell the CAD file or the product, you don't own the rights to it. You're breaking the license of the hobby software. I don't know how often it happens where there's any kind of litigation by those companies that own those softwares. But hypothetically there could be, and in FreeCAD you don't need to worry about that. So go over to the download, Windows, Mac, Linux. I'm running Linux. I've run it on Windows in the past. It's basically the exact same software. I don't have Mac, never tried it, but Linux, it's for all intents and purposes, it operates the same. I can't think of any specific instance where I've tried to do something on Linux that I would used to do in Windows and it didn't work. So that's FreeCAD. You would download and install it. And I'm going to assume from the rest of this point you've already done that. Or you could pause the stream and then do that and then follow along later. So we're going to start in the part design workbench and we're going to hit new design. And general good practice, it's always good to save the file before you do anything. So I'm going to go to my documents, lures, new folder. I'm going to call it, what do I want to do? Do I want to do a 2-inch or a 3-inch plug? We'll do a 2-inch plug. A small little plug bait. And then we'll call this nano plug. These smaller types of lures are good for creek fishing, which is what I like to do. So, first thing you're going to want to do is create a sketch. And what I typically do in this lure, what I typically do is work front to back, and that'll make sense as we go on. So I'm gonna select the XZ plane, which displays my icon, the front of the object here. This is your trihedron. So you have your origin here, your x-axis, and your z-axis, and your y-axis this way. So this would be, the front would be the XZ plane. Okay, so for a minnow plug, we're going to want an ellipse to start. And what we're doing is basically creating the cross section of the bait as we go down the length. We'll do 10 millimeters, and that's probably a little wide, honestly. 11. We can do 9. Let's do 9 and 10. Since it's going to be a minnow plug, we want it still a little elliptical but fairly round. And if you're following along, I'll give you a little bit of time to go ahead and set those dimensions. And then you'll click this line and level it. And now you get a green sketch here, which means it's fully constrained. Alright, so that's our first sketch. Second sketch, go ahead, click the origin to show it, click on the right plane to rotate over, click on this plane, the YZ plane, and go ahead, create another sketch, come back to the model. We're going to hide the origin so we can see what we're doing better. Turn sketch 1 into reference geometry. There we go. And then create a line out here. And what that line's going to be is basically setting the the lengths of the cross sections that we're sketching at. And that will make more sense later. So we're going to go ahead and set a depth of, let's do a 1/2 inch, 1.12.7 millimeter. Set that depth. You've got that sketch fully constrained now. So we can close out of that sketch. Next thing you're going to do is highlight your origin, hit spacebar, that'll show it again. Select the XZ plane again, and then we're going to construct a datum plane right here. And then we're going to hit reference 2 and select the end of that line that we just created and hit OK. And now we're going to create a sketch on this datum plane. We can go ahead and hide it to make it easier to see what we're doing, but essentially we're creating another area of the cross section of the bait, a 1/2 inch from the front. So we're doing a minnow plug, which means we're going to want kind of, let's think about that. Minnow plugs kind of have like a broad head and narrow, we'll say, shoulders. So we would want something like, probably something like this. That was an arc of a parabola. Sorry, I missed that. Go ahead and select that vertical line. Sorry, I thought I had to sneeze there. I do have to sneeze, I feel it, but it's not wanting to actually sneeze. So we've got an arc of an ellipse there, and we're going to kind of eyeball it to see, well, what looks right. We'll say a 1/2 inch back from the nose of the minnow plug. And minnow plugs, I think, are kind of like broader up towards the head of the bait, and then they narrow down kind of quickly. So I'm going to do a circle, arc of a circle down here. Do something like this, I think. And then we'll connect those. And then make these lines tangent to the circle. There we go. And then I think I want like something like that. I think that looks right. So now we gotta make this side equal to that side. So we're gonna use a constructed line, that point to that point, and make it horizontal. And now I can drag that up and down anywhere, and that'll be equal on either side. And we can do the same thing. We don't need to do the same thing on the circle, just on the ellipse. So I think I want something like this, maybe. I don't necessarily want... Okay, so the ellipse center has snapped to the origin, and that's... I don't think we necessarily... Oh no, it hasn't, never mind. Okay. So we can do something like this, and we're going to make this tangent to that. Thought I could do that. Yep, okay. Make that tangent. Oh, now it's overdefined, didn't need to do that. We'll just go ahead and hit back. Okay. And I think I still want... That's it. That's what I'm looking for there. That's what I'm looking for, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now visually we got it where I want it, so I'm going to dimension these areas, make this 11.5 millimeter. And we'll go ahead and set a distance up here. Make that 2, why not? And then we'll set that length, make that 10. We can set this length 3.5. And what else do we need to set here? Let's go ahead and set from there to there, and we'll make that we'll try 9. That looks about right. All right. Okay. Now we got our first 2 cross sections done. And we're gonna go ahead and do the next, probably gonna need to do another 2. So we're gonna do another sketch here. Hide our origin. Make that reference. Do another line. And we'll make that point coinciding with this. Over constrained. Delete that. I hate it when it does that. Make that vertical. Make those coinciding. And slap a distance on there. Let's do... We want a 2-inch bait overall. So we probably... Honestly, I think we can get away with 3 sketches. And I can make this that. Let's do another one. Say 1/4 inch back from that last one. Close. And the more you do this, the more you'll get a feel for what all the dimensions should be. Go ahead and show our origin again. Click the XZ plane. Do another datum. Select this back point. Hide the origin. And then select that datum plane we just created. Do another sketch. Actually, I'm going to show you a quicker way to do this. We can copy that last sketch we did. Sketch 2. Control C. And we only want to select sketch 2. Okay. Select in our model tree, hit paste, drag that into our active body, select that sketch, map mode, flat face, click here, and then plane, we want this datum plane, and you can see now there's a copy of that sketch on that datum plane. Alright, go ahead, hide that datum plane. Open up that sketch, and we're just gonna make these dimensions a little bit bigger. And 11. That's interesting. That ought to do there. Okay, close that. And then what we're gonna do, just like we have been, show our origin, select our plane, hide the origin, make a reference, slap another line, make it horizontal, and make it coinciding. And then from the origin here to this back point, we want it to be 50.8 millimeter for 2 inches. Okay, close that sketch. I feel like this should be smaller, but I don't think that's really necessary. Alright. Show the origin again. Select this plane, datum plane, reference to this point here. Hide our origin. Select the data plane, create a sketch. Hide that datum plane. And then I believe we're going to want, well, let's do this. We'll make it easy on ourselves again. Close that, delete that, select sketch 1, copy it, okay, paste, drag it in there, just like we did. Map mode, flat face, reference, that plane, okay. This time we're going to go in here. We don't want it on the origin. We want to move it up a little bit. Still centered on this line. And probably, let's look at this cross section. Probably like there. It's probably where we want it. So we'll go ahead and make that, oops, from there to there, call it 2 millimeter, and close. Alright, and that's going to be our basic body. These feel a little big. We'll see when I put the radiuses in how they look. We can always come back and change that. Alright, so that's our basic. Think of this as like the skeleton of the bait. And now we're going to actually give it some body. So first you want to select the sketch, then select this first line we did, and we're going to do an additive pipe. And it's already got the sketch and this sketch selected, but we're going to go to section transformation, multi-section, add section, and then do the next sketch down the line and hit OK. And we're basically going to build the bait up as we do that. And you want to drop the drop down tree of the additive pipe and enable that last sketch so that we can select it and then do that same thing again. And multi-section, add section, this one. Okay. And then same thing, sketch 4, additive pipe, sweep along, object, line, multi-section, add section, back sketch. Okay. And that looks somewhat fishy, right? Right. But it doesn't look like very natural. Like these are hard angles, not a lot of curves. And to fix that, we're going to select these areas here and click our fillet tool and add some radius to these areas. Alright, it doesn't like that, which means we have to use the chamfer tool and see why. Alright, something's breaking in there. I don't quite know why, but we'll try doing it. That really doesn't like this one for some reason. We can do this at least. Command not done. Okay, we'll just do this. Yeah, I need to make that back end smaller. I think the nose is okay. But for some reason, it doesn't like... See there, that's a broken face. That's odd that it's behaving like this. Those are broken faces. It's not odd, it's FreeCAD. It does these things. See if making a smaller radius will... No, it's still doing that. Alright. Just FreeCAD doing FreeCAD stuff. Let's try this. I don't quite like how this should taper to a smaller point. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those radiuses, go back to this sketch, and make these... I'll make this say 8 millimeter, and this say 8 millimeter. I still think that should be smaller. But I gotta be careful. Can't go too small. Okay. Let's try something. We're gonna do a sketch on this face. And just create a box around half the bait. Doesn't need to be defined. And then we're going to cut a pocket through the whole bait to cut it in half. Because we don't need the whole thing. And then we're going to add a thickness to the bait. Failed to make thick solid. FreeCAD always gives me issues like this. Alright, we're not gonna do that. I don't understand why. I wonder if I did those as lofts, as if it would behave different. So I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna save where we're at and then do those as lofts and see if that makes any difference here. So delete all those, don't need that, and we'll highlight everything and show it, and we're going to hide our datum planes again. Okay. And then to do a loft, it's actually very similar to the pipe. So you select those two sketches, come over here, do an additive loft, add section here, okay, and that did not work, so why not? Why didn't that work? I'm pretty sure that's right. Profile sketch. No, actually, I think it's cancel, select this, loft, add section that, add section this. Huh. Why isn't... Hmm. I could have swore that's how you did an additive loft. Alright. Never mind. Go back to the additive pipes. Okay. And I don't understand why it doesn't want to do these radiuses. But like, look. It's crashing when I do that. Can I do like this? See, that's odd. And try it in the part workbench. No, that didn't work. Anybody in chat might know what's going on here? See, this is annoying, and this is what FreeCAD does pretty often. Can I do... any radius there? No. Hmm. Da 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 da. Alright. All right, we are back. And I have an idea. We're going to try to simplify the sketches a little bit and see if that helps. If I connect those like so. And then make don't necessarily like that. So maybe if I do some curvature here, make that tangent to that, make that tangent to that, make these equal, and make that tangent then maybe let's do this. Okay, close that. And now let's see if it lets us do. It does not. I'll try to do the same thing on sketch 4 anyway to see if that solves it. Alright. Make those tangent. And then make these equal. And then I'll still want to see where sketch 2 is, just for reference. Okay. That looks pretty decent. Why isn't that letting me? There we go. Go ahead and connect those. And 0.9 sounds good, whatever. Close. Then I'm going to want to recompute the object. And then I'll come see if that fixed my problem. And it did not. Oh, that one works now. Okay. So that did do something. Good. Was not in vain. And we'll want to make this probably like those surfaces look clean. That's good. Probably something like that. And I wonder if I can do a chamfer on this one now. No, I cannot. I wonder why that is. Broke a face there. That still looks pretty good though, I think. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay. Go ahead and save. Now the next part, I'm going to want to add a lip to the bait. And that will be a little trickier. So let me think about how I want that lip shape to be. I think I'm going to want it to be something like this or like this. And this has got the line tied directly in the bill there. So what I'm going to do that's at an angle. Okay, we can do something like that. I'm going to come back to our bait here. And I'm going to switch over to the part design workbench. And then I'm going to create... Oh, I'm going to do it entirely in the part design. Never mind. Show our origin. We're going to do a sketch. In the YZ plane. And do a start with a little rectangle, make it 2 millimeters, and 10 millimeters, and then we're going to put this corner on the origin. Never mind, we're going to put this corner on that line. Perfect. Hide the origin, select the sketch, close out of it, select it. We're going to do a pad, 2 dimensions, and just increase them both until they punch through both sides like that. Okay, now we got a little slot for the bill. Okay. Okay. Next, I guess we ought to create the bill next. So we're going to do File Save, File New, and then do a sketch on the top-down plane. And what was the width of, let's say, that point to this point? Call that 10.5. Okay. Come back to our sketch. And this will be 10.5. And then the bill will be something like this. Yeah, create an arc of an ellipse. Obviously, that's a little wonky, but that's okay. We can fix it. We'll make these equal. And then we're going to set the angle. Well, we can do 150. And 150. 50. Alright. And then we'll come down here. And then this should be, yeah, that's looking very, very crankbait like. Set those tangent, set that tangent, and then That's probably... that's probably too big for a bait like this. We'll do 20. And 21. Okay. And then gonna have to make those construction. This one not construction. And then we'll go ahead and pad that. Make it 2 millimeters. And then need to do a sketch. This plane, hide our origin again. And make this 2 millimeter. And we'll make this 1.8 millimeter. Sure. And then we'll set that angle. Degrees. Exit the sketch, select the sketch, pad the sketch, come back down here, make this 1.8 millimeter, and then should be 10.5. Then we're going to do another sketch on this face. And this is going to be for the line tie. So we're going to do this, make this 4 millimeter. And center it. Like so. Okay. And this probably only needs to go to about call it 12. Yeah. And then close that, and we're gonna pad it, say 4mm is probably good. Then we're going to do another sketch on that face and convert some geometry. And I'm not going to need all that blockiness. And so we'll go ahead and just create some sketches to cut that out. And we'll just make this 135 degrees. And then we'll go ahead and cut that out. And now, oh, I should have cut that out too. I don't need to though. I could leave that. I can leave that like that. And then when I put that back into here, I can do a cutout in this lip. And that would probably make it stronger. I should probably do that. Let's do that. File, save. And before I go over to the part workbench, I'm going to cut this bait in half. And then go to part. I'm going to need to export this as a step. File, import that step. And then I'm going to need to transform that. Okay, so let me think about this. This will need to be in the x negative 10.5 divided by 2, so 5.25. That's centered. And then I need to transform and rotate it. So, need to flip it over. I guess that should have been positive 5.25. And then I need to transform rotate that. And slide it into position. I see a little issue developing right there. This needs to be a right angle, but I can go ahead and do this. Anyway. Okay. Select that, Boolean. Oh, you're kidding me. Why didn't it like that? We'll do... No. Select that, cut out for object. There we go. Oh, it did that. I should have known it was going to do that. Okay. We can still fix this right here. And then transform. Edit cube first. Okay. Yep. Like that. And then like that. All right. Okay. And now, oops. That should be what we want. So now I gotta go back to the bill and correct those issues. So part design, come in, do a sketch on this plane. I need reference, geometry. And let me think about this. It's going to be angled like this. So I want to cut off that. And this and that should be 90 degrees. Close. And we're going to through all that. And we're going to want this to be that's okay there, but I should come back to that sketch and make this 3.8 now. Because that'll give us a little room. That'll give us a little room. If we're going in here and doing that cutout like that. Okay. We've got the bill. And then the one thing we need to do on the bill is do a sketch here. And then make our cut for the line ties. Do those, say, 2.5 millimeters apart. And 0.7 millimeter from each other. This should be, radius should be 0.7, this should be 1.4 millimeter. And then alright, sorry about that. Say 2.5 is probably good there. Close that. And then we'll go ahead and do let's make them through holes. I should make them stronger. File save. Go back to our nano plug. We are going to have to print with support, which I typically don't do, but whatevs. And now I need to go ahead and insert the line ties, hook hangers. And let's see. Okay. Cylinder, edit cylinder. 0.7. Transform. We're gonna put it like right here. And another one right there. And then another one back here. Yeah. And another one up here. Okay. That should be good. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Alright. And next, we need to do our rattle chambers. So we'll do, say, 3mm. Transform. Put one here. And then probably about there would be good. Okay. Copy and paste another rattle chamber. And we'll put that, say, like that. Okay. And there's our bait. Oh, we gotta put the eye in. Okay, we can do that. Easy peasy. We'll do another cylinder. And transform. Move it back, move it up. Rotate over. Let's see here. Probably like this. Yeah. And then like this. And like that. How's that look? Pretty good. Sink it in a little more. Okay. Cut that out. Perfect. And we'll have two little eyes right there. I think I actually want that to be further down, like over here more. So let's transform that and move that more like that, maybe. That looks better. Okay. And then that's the bait. We're gonna have to do a file export. Save, yes, okay. Nano plug, file save. File import, the bill, open, okay. Transform, flip it, rotate it. I guess I should have rotated it first, huh? And bring it back. Yeah, like there. And then over to the center. That's looking good. There's our bait. And then, well, it's not our full bait. We need to mirror. Ah. Try that again. Third time's the charm. There we go. Yeah, there we go. That's our bait. So go do file save. And then the easiest way to print this. I spoke too soon. I should put a radius on here. Yeah, that's better. We don't need that half. When you export these into your slicer, you'll do file, export, the step, and then Orca slicer, It's trying to. I'll turn my 3D printer on while I'm waiting for it to do that. Why isn't Orca opening? Let's do it the old-fashioned way. There we go. And we'll do a object import download documents lure. What did I call this? The plug. What did I call it? Nano plug. Is that what I saved it as? No. 2-inch plug, there it is. Okay, it's not really a plug. It's definitely a crankbait. Is what it is, I suppose. We'll go ahead and clone it. Then you're going to want a mirror. There you go. And we'll import the bill. And two wall loops is probably appropriate. And then we'll do 10% honeycomb. Really 5% honeycomb. And then we'll want to turn on the supports. And then go ahead. Oh, we need to check. We don't want a lot of top shells. We'll do 3 layers. 0.6. Same on the bottom. Slice the plate. More layers is more weight. You want the bait to be as hollow as it can be. And I also want tree supports. And I think I also want it's not gonna let me do it, huh? It's not gonna let me do adaptive layers. Alright. Just make the layer height 0.12. Slice it again. 22 minutes, not bad at all. That's looking pretty good. We'll go ahead and print it. Device. Turn the light on. And that's it. That's all she wrote. thanks for watching. I'm gonna sign off for now. You have a good rest of your morning.